After the Illini's 81-77 victory over number 11 Texas Tech, I was invited on Locked On College Basketball to discuss the game, the team, and more. And I figured, you know what, I'd give you guys an opportunity to watch. So I hope you enjoy.
Oh, baby, what a battle in Champaign, Illinois. The shorthanded Illini take a win from Texas Tech 81-77 on Tuesday night. Sonny Verma, the great host of Locked On Illini, joins me now to break it all down. Sonny, I don't think there's anywhere to start, but no Tommy, no problem, my guy.
Yeah, you're not kidding. This was a game that was a hard-fought battle. It looked like in the first half that Illinois might be coasting, which was a surprise to me. You watch that first half and you're like, hey, this could be a Final Four team the way that they're playing. But the question that we've all had, at least this Illini fan base, is what's going to happen when another team punches them in the face? And that exactly what happened in the second half today. And that punch's name was JT Toppin, who ended up with 39 points and 11 rebounds today. But, you know, Texas Tech, despite Illinois being up 13 at halftime, Texas Tech just really enter the second half on fire. I think they made their first 9 baskets or something like that, took the lead, and then what would it come down to? Then, you know, can this team, which is a pretty brand new team, half the roster is brand new, can they persevere? Can they come through? And 2 guys, Kylan Boswell, Andre Stoyakovich, they kind of took the reins and, you know, like, hey, young kids, you did your part. Now let the vets take care of their part. They did, and Illinois comes away with a super impressive 81-77 victory. Like I said, our best player didn't play. Thomas Lovavicic, potential all Big Ten center. He is going to be out for maybe a couple weeks, but it showed you that this team is deep, Isaac. I mean, really deep.
Sonny, it's so true. And here I sit with my hand raised in the air. And you know, Sonny, because we've talked about it, how much I like this Illinois team.
Yeah.
Ellipsis at full strength. Like as you say, there's so much depth. Like the Eastern Bloc quintet alone is enough, but that's even before you start thinking about, you know, Hummerhouse and it just all the pieces that come with this, with Kylan Boswell and Wagler, you know, all of that. And so hand up, I had Texas Tech winning this game on the road because I thought, like, Chris Anderson, Lawan Watts, who's your Darion Williams replacement, JT Toppin, I thought they're all going to do it. Well, Watts and Toppin did their part, combining for, what was it, like 36 points between the two of them. Mm-hmm. But Chris Anderson just didn't have the game he had recently. 4 of 12 from the field, 8 points, did get 11 assists and just 3 turnovers, which is insanity, Sonny. But I tell you, man, I really feel like we learned something about this Illinois team, the depth of it, as you said, and how resilient they are. And man, like, how good does it feel, Sonny, not knowing preseason, like, how bad is this Stoyakovich knee situation going to be? Because, dude, when it comes to knees, I get nervous. For my man to come off the bench, drop and a very efficient 23. Like, when you only need 16 shots to get to 23, like, man, that's good. How long is it, do you think, before Andre is back in the starting lineup?
I think he could very well be in the starting lineup next game. You know, the guy who's taking his spot, Jake Davis, who I think is a very solid role player for what he is. But in an ideal situation, he's like your 8th guy. Jake, you know, had 0 points. He basically had zeros all across the board except for that 1 rebound. But, you know, Andres is a guy who I looked at the last game, Florida Gulf Coast. They played on last Friday. And his box score didn't look all that impressive. And a lot of people were saying he looked very rusty in that first half. And yeah, I agree. But what I really did like, and I talked about it in the live postgame immediately after, was that usually when someone's coming off a very serious injury like that, you see if they're playing timidly. You see if they're being hesitant with their body. He wasn't. He was being very aggressive. And I said in that postgame that, you know what, to me, that's a good sign. That he's not worried about re-aggravating anything, that he feels like he's ready to play basketball again. And I thought that maybe that would be a prelude to the rest of the season. I didn't know it would be a prelude to this, what we saw today, where he was the best player on the court, both offensively and defensively. You talk about Chris Anderson's numbers. A lot of that was because Andre Stoyakovich locked him down in that first half. And that's something that, not many people talk about. When you get Stoyakovich, people are talking about, hey, this kid scored 18 points per game almost in the ACC last year. This could be your new high scorer on this year's team. He might be, but when it comes to scoring, this team has a lot of options. It could be a new guy every single night. What this team needs is a couple of guys to just lock down the opposing offense's best players. And this team has two of them, in Kyle Boswell and Stoyakovich.
And not to you talked about Stoyakovich's defense. Sonny, what is going through your head when Lawan Watts knocks down those 2 free throws to get it within 3 with, what was it, like 12 seconds left at that point?
Like that, yeah.
And Chris Anderson goes up for what to me looked like it was going to be an uncontested look at a game-tying 3. And here comes Peja's son out of nowhere to block that shot and basically help secure the victory. I mean, what a play, what an athletic play from a dude who you just talked about. Is your knee going to be okay? Do you trust it? Take me through all the emotion of that moment.
You're pointing out why Andrich is so vital to this team. This team coming into this game with very minimal help from Andrich Stoyakovich, I think was ranked number 3 offensively in KenPom. It's just a very offensively potent team. But what it doesn't have is a guy who's built like an NBA forward already, 6'7", 6'8". He's got a decent frame to him, and he can just take the ball to the rim at will, put his head down, get to the free throw line. But also on the defensive side, as you just talked about, he's got that Stoyakovich name, right? His dad was one of the best players in the NBA, especially in particular when you and I were growing up. Maybe the youngsters may not quite remember, but with that, comes IQ. I feel like comes feel for the game. And that was one of those moments where that was displayed that, yeah, he got beat, but he had enough in him to come back around and be able to block that shot, which quite honestly saved the game for the Illini.
I mean, yes, easily that we didn't get enough of the flight of the ball to know if it was going in, but boy, it was a good look. I'll tell you that right now. Sonny, I wanted to ask you to put on both Illinois and a Texas Tech hat right now, because to me, this is one of those games where I walk away from it actually feeling better about both teams. It's not like, boy, Illinois won the game and Texas Tech just didn't have it. Like, for Texas Tech to do this on the road and for Illinois to hold up in a game that I'd love to hear your thought on this. I think Illinois probably loses this game last year when they're younger, less experienced, right? Like, I actually walk away from this game feeling really good about the Illini and feeling really good about Texas Tech.
You're exactly right. I mean, JT Toppin, like I've said it before, I think he's the best player in college basketball. And in March, you need 2 things. You need a very good head coach, and I've got all the respect in the world for Texas Tech's head coach. I loved what he did last year, getting that team to the Elite 8. But you also need playmakers, and Texas Tech happens to have 2 of the best in the country. It's a game today where, again, they came out on the short end. If you're an Illini fan, you did this without 2 guys in your rotation, and your starting center. If you're a Texas Tech fan, you did this with, I don't know how you discuss the reffing in this situation. I think that flagrant 1 at the end was kind of egregious, but at the same time, Illinois was only called for 8 fouls today. So it's a game that they kept close. I'm talking about getting punched in the face. Texas Tech got punched in the face in that first half. And yet, the Orange Crush, they were being really rowdy in the stands today. And yet Texas Tech had it within them to come back in that second half, make some adjustments, take the lead again. I think that's a really good team. It's just they ran into a team that right now I think is playing as good as anybody in the country.
One thing I want to point out, Sonny, and then I want to ask you about the injury status of those guys. Both teams had 13 turnovers, and I don't know if you had seen this or caught this, but Illinois turned those 13 turnovers into 29 points, while Texas Tech only got 16 points off of the turnover. So same turnovers for both teams, but Illinois was plus 13 in points off. I think that's a big deal for Brad Underwood and his staff. They're going to love it. Any update, anything you hearing right now, Sonny, either about Petrovich's availability or Tomislav as well? Are we just kind of wait and see on both of those? Anything from Coach Underwood?
So with Mihailo Petrovic, he was practicing this morning, and he was even participating in shoot-around. He was questionable on the availability report, so it was kind of 50-50 on whether he would play or not. I did get a little excited because he was wearing the jersey during shoot-arounds today, and he was a full participant in the shoot-around. But I just think that maybe this was too high-profile of a game.
I agree.
To throw a guy in there for his first college basketball game ever. We play Colgate later on this week, and I can imagine that if Petrovic is ready to go, or at least if they're willing to see if his hamstring's ready to go, that's probably a good opportunity for him to get out there for 10, 15 minutes. Because next week, we're going to be playing Alabama at the United Center. We're going to need a healthy Petrovic for that game. As for Tommy, Brad still, he's not giving much details, but he never really does. I've heard anything between 2 weeks to a month gone. They've been pretty clear that they don't think it's any sort of season ender. So, I mean, that's a relief, obviously. But, if Zvonimir continues to play the way he played in that first half today, then, that's Illinois has one of the best backup centers in the country. And hopefully he can make up for while his brother is gone.
Yeah, let me just make sure everyone knows what Big Z did. 11 points on 4 of 6 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, 7 boards, 3 blocks in 24 minutes. Really good stuff. As Sonny already alluded to, Illinois has Alabama next week, then a couple bye games in between, and then UConn, Tennessee, Ohio State, boom, 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 right after that. So they need Tomislav Ivisic back in Champaign sooner rather than later. So, Sonny, really excited to see what's ahead with this schedule. We're going to know a lot about these Illini by the time we're ringing in 2026 and Big Ten play. My guy, thank you so much for your time. Big congrats on the win. And, again, mea culpa. Isaac Shade got this one big wrong. Congrats to the Illini. Keep it rocking. My guy, thank you.
Thank you for watching that clip from one of our recent shows. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and watch the full episode. It should be right here on this channel. Better yet, if you are a fan of the Illini, make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Illini. I produce content for you daily. That's right, every single day right here on Locked On Illini. Tell your friends, and I'll see you next time.